Buffalo Bills. Unhinged. Bills Mafia isn't tailgating, it's combat training. These fans treat every Sunday like a backyard WrestleMania, launching themselves through tables like it's a sacred ritual. -10 degrees outside? Doesn't matter. Someone's still shirtless, painted blue and red, chugging Labatt Blue like it's Gatorade. This is a fan base that survived 4 straight Super Bowl losses and somehow came out even crazier. It's not just loyalty, it's madness wrapped in pride. And with Josh Allen, every game feels like a roller coaster you can't get off. Win big, lose ugly, they'll still be out in Orchard Park, setting themselves on fire for a first down. Bills Mafia doesn't just watch football. They bleed it, scream it, and smash tables for it. Miami Dolphins. Flashy but fickle. Dolphins fans live in the shadow of Dan Marino's ghost. Every year starts with, "This is finally our year." And by week 10, half the fan base is already back on South Beach sipping mojitos. When things are good, they're loud. Aqua jerseys everywhere, throwing fins up like it's a gang sign. But the second a losing streak hits, stadium seats look like a college spring break flight, empty. Still, when the offense is cooking, Miami feels like pure speed. Sunshine, teal waves, and Tyreek Hill flying past defenders like a jet ski. Deep down, they know the Marino highlight reels from the 80s are still the best part of their history. But hey, at least the vibe in Miami always looks better than Buffalo in January. New England Patriots, entitled. Patriots fans spent 2 decades spoiled by Tom Brady and Belichick, and the hangover still lingers. 6 rings, countless AFC titles. Greatness wasn't just expected, it was the bare minimum. Now, in the post-Brady era, a 500 season feels like a national crisis. They'll flex about the dynasty before you even finish saying, Deflategate. But lately, it all sounds like nostalgia therapy. Foxborough vibes are half-spoiled royalty, half-bitter ex, trying to convince themselves they've moved on. Every rookie QB is unfairly compared to Brady, and every coach is judged against Belichick's shadow. Patriots fandom today isn't about dominance, it's about clinging to the past and waiting for someone, anyone, to make them matter again. New York Jets. Cursed. Jets fans don't just root for a team, they survive it. Every season kicks off with blind hope, and by week 2 they're already muttering, "Same old Jets." From the butt fumble to quarterbacks shattering knees before week 1, it feels like the football gods are playing a cruel joke. Their highlight reel? Mostly pain. They'll scream JETS with pride, but it always sounds like a cry for help. Even when they land a star, Rodgers, Favre, whoever, fate steps in to ruin the party. Being a Jets fan is like buying lottery tickets every Sunday. You know you're not going to win, but hey, maybe this time. Spoiler, it's never this time. Baltimore Ravens. Persecuted. Ravens fans live with a permanent chip on their shoulder. No matter how many playoff runs, no matter how many highlight reels from Lamar, they swear the media never gives them credit. Ask any fan in purple and black, the refs hate them, the announcers underrate them, and every AFC North rival gets more hype. They thrive on the us against the world mentality, wearing it like armor. Even when the Ravens dominate, fans will point out how ESPN still talks about the Steelers or Bengals instead. And don't even bring up Lamar's MVP years, they'll argue forever that nobody respects him enough. For Ravens Nation, every win isn't just football, it's proving everyone else wrong. Cincinnati Bengals. Cocky but cynical. Bengals fans walk into every season with swagger. Joe Burrow in shades, Jamar Chase catching bombs, and suddenly it's "Who Day" all over the timeline. But underneath that confidence, there's always a shadow of doubt. Decades of heartbreak left scars too deep to forget. They'll brag like kings after one big win, then mutter about the offensive line collapsing the very next week. To rival fans, Bengals Nation looks like a brand new bandwagon. But to the old guard, it's been years of suffering finally paying off. They talk loud, they flex hard, but deep down, they're still waiting for the rug to be pulled out from under them. Again. Cleveland Browns. Traumatized comedians. Being a Browns fan is like living in a bad sitcom that never gets cancelled. They've seen so many quarterbacks come and go, they could make a drinking game out of jersey names alone. Every Sunday starts with hope, but by halftime it usually turns into dark humor and self-deprecating jokes. Browns fans cope the only way they know how, by laughing through the pain. Whether it's calling their helmet a pumpkin gone wrong or making memes about draft busts, comedy is their survival mechanism. And yet, no matter how many heartbreaks, they show up again the next week. In Cleveland, loyalty is eternal, even if winning feels like a cruel punchline. Pittsburgh Steelers. Bloodline loyalists. Steelers fans aren't just fans, they're born into it. The terrible towel isn't merch, it's an heirloom passed down like grandma's china. Sundays in Pittsburgh feel more like family reunions than football games, with generations rocking black and gold since the Steel Curtain days. They'll remind you of their 6 rings before you even finish your sentence, and yes, they actually believe football is religion. Even when the team struggles, there's zero chance they're jumping ship. Loyalty is literally in their DNA. Rival fans call it arrogance, but to a Steelers fan, it's just heritage. You don't choose the black and yellow, it chooses you. Indianapolis. Colts. Nostalgic. Colts fans live in a constant state of remember when. Peyton Manning's glory years are their bedtime stories, and Andrew Luck is the what could have been that still stings. They'll bring up Super Bowl XLI like it happened yesterday, even though most of the roster is now coaching high school ball. Every new quarterback since Luck has been treated like the chosen one, until reality sets in by mid-season. They're polite, Midwestern, and oddly optimistic, but there's always that cloud of "we used to be great" hanging overhead. Colts fandom is less about the present and more about chasing the echoes of a golden era that refuses to come back. Houston Texans. Hopeful parents. Texans fans are like proud parents at a school talent show. Every little success feels like a standing ovation. After years of chaos, bad trades, and that quarterback scandal everyone wants to forget, CJ Stroud showed up and suddenly the whole city started smiling again. They treat him like a prodigy, the kid who's finally going to make Houston matter in the NFL. Jerseys dusted off, stadium noise back, and hope growing louder every week. But make no mistake, Texans fandom is still young, still figuring itself out. They don't brag yet, they beam. And for once, it feels like the future actually belongs to them. Jacksonville. Jaguars. Chaotic split fan base. Jaguars fans are basically 2 different species. Half are in Jacksonville, tailgating under the Florida sun, screaming "Dieu Uval" until they lose their voices. The other half are across the Atlantic, treating Wembley like it's their second home stadium. Years of tarp-covered seats, coaching disasters, and even Urban Meyer didn't kill the fandom, it just made them weirder. They ride or die with Trevor Lawrence, the golden-haired prince who finally gave them hope. But even in good times, chaos lurks. Blown leads, bizarre headlines, and front office decisions that feel like dares. Jaguars fandom isn't clean or polished. It's messy, loud, and somehow stronger because of it. Tennessee Titans. Gritty but boring. Titans fans show up like it's still 1999. Tough, blue-collar, and built for ugly football. They live for Derrick Henry trucking defenders and final scores that look like baseball games. 17-10, pure misery ball. Flashy offenses, not their thing. They want grit, defense, and a quarterback who won't screw it up. Nashville might be a tourist city full of neon lights, but on Sundays, Titans fandom is all mud, sweat, and skepticism. Every season feels like they're one play away from greatness, but instead, it's another injury report longer than the playbook. Loyal? Absolutely. Exciting? Not exactly. Kansas City. Chiefs. Dominant. Chiefs fans went from long-suffering diehards to full-blown dynasty energy almost overnight. Arrowhead isn't just loud, it's a coliseum where red and gold feel like armor. Patrick Mahomes turned the franchise into a cheat code, and now every season starts with Super Bowl or bust. They worship Andy Reid like a barbecue Buddha and treat Travis Kelce like football royalty. The swagger is real, maybe too real, because the rest of the league now hates them the way they once hated the Patriots. Chiefs fans know it, and honestly, they love it. Dominance has become their identity, and they're not giving it back anytime soon. Lay's Vegas Raiders, Mad Max reckless. Raiders fans aren't just passionate, they're apocalyptic. The black hole looks less like a cheering section and more like a scene from Mad Max. Spikes, skulls, and face paint that could scare small children. It doesn't matter if the team is 12-5 or 5-12. The energy is pure chaos. They'll boo their own QB, cheer a linebacker throwing a suplex, and still chant, Raiders like it's gospel. Moving from Oakland to Vegas didn't soften them, it just made the carnival louder and weirder. Winning is optional, but intensity is mandatory. Raiders fandom isn't football, it's a full-contact lifestyle. Los Angeles Chargers, betrayed and forgotten. Chargers fans carry the scars of abandonment. San Diego still feels betrayed, and LA barely notices they exist. Every home game looks like a takeover by the other team's fans, and Sophie feels more like a rental than a fortress. They've had legends, LT, Rivers, Gates, but their history is one long highlight reel of finding new ways to lose. And now, with Justin Herbert, it's the same story. Talent everywhere. Heartbreak guaranteed. Chargers fandom is pain dressed in powder blue. Loyal diehards remain, but they live in a twilight zone. Too proud to quit, too forgotten to matter. Denver Broncos. Delusional nostalgics. Broncos fans still talk like it's the mile-high magic of the 90s or the Peyton Manning years, even while watching a 5-12 roster. They bleed orange and blue with pride, convinced the next great QB is always just around the corner. Russell Wilson was supposed to be the savior. Instead, he turned into a Netflix comedy special. But no matter how ugly it gets, the fan base clings to the glory days, replaying Elway highlights like their prophecy. They'll brag about altitude, tradition, and toughness, even when reality says otherwise. To Broncos country, every September is another chance to believe. And every December is another rude awakening. Dallas Cowboys. Loud and delusional. Cowboys fans don't just think they're America's team, they act like the rest of the league should thank them for existing. Every August, it's "This is our year," and by January, it's another meltdown in primetime. They'll brag about 5 rings like it happened yesterday, even though the last one came before Wi-Fi existed. Win a regular season game? They celebrate like it's the Super Bowl parade. Lose in the playoffs? Blame the refs, the NFL, or the universe itself. Half the country tunes in just to root against them, and Cowboys Nation wouldn't have it any other way. Loud online, loud in the stands, loud at Thanksgiving dinner, and always convinced the next dynasty is already here. Philadelphia Eagles. Unhinged and proud. Eagles fans don't just accept being unhinged, they wear it like a badge of honor. This is the only fan base that can boo Santa Claus, flip cars after a win, and still feel like it's all perfectly normal. Game day in Philly feels less like a tailgate and more like a street brawl with cheesesteaks. They bark at strangers, fight their own fans for not yelling loud enough, and treat the link like a gladiator pit. Winning a Super Bowl didn't calm them down, it supercharged the chaos. Philly lives for the hate, feeds off the noise, and proudly proves every stereotype right. In their eyes, if you don't think Eagles fans are insane, you haven't met one yet. New York Giants. Bipolar. Giants fans live on a roller coaster with no middle ground. One week they're classy, traditional, bragging about 4 Lombardis and Eli Manning's miracle runs. The next, they're calling for the GM, the coach, and probably the hot dog vendor to be fired. Beat the Patriots twice in the Super Bowl? Eternal bragging rights. Draft Daniel Jones? Eternal regret. They swing from quiet confidence to full-blown meltdown faster than Saquon hits the injury report. Still, no matter how ugly it gets, they show up in blue every Sunday, hoping for another miracle. Giants fandom isn't balanced. It's whiplash. New York style. Washington Commanders. Resilient survivors. Commanders fans have lived through more pain than most franchises combined. Name changes, endless scandals, and the Dan Snyder era that felt like a hostage situation. Yet somehow, they never fully walked away. They're like survivors of a toxic relationship. Cautious, scarred, but still holding out hope. Every new QB is the guy until he isn't. Every new season feels like the start of a turnaround, even if it crashes by Halloween. What keeps them going? Tradition, stubbornness, and the memory of glory days in the early 90s. Washington fandom is proof that loyalty isn't always pretty. Sometimes it's just survival instinct. Green Bay Packers. Smug traditionalists. Packers fans aren't just fans, they're shareholders, cheese-wearing shareholders. They'll shovel Lambeau in a blizzard, call it community service, and brag about Vince Lombardi like he's still pacing the sideline. 30 years of Hall of Fame quarterbacks brought them just 2 rings, but don't expect complaints. They'll still remind you of titles from the 1960s as if you were alive to see them. To rivals, it's smugness. To them, it's tradition. They act like frozen tundra football is the purest form of the sport, and everything else is gimmicky. Packers Nation isn't loud, it's condescending, and they love every second of it. Minnesota Vikings. Dramatic hopefuls. Being a Vikings fan means living in permanent heartbreak theater. Every season starts with "Skål" and ends with "maybe next year." From missed chip shot field goals to miracle touchdowns followed by instant playoff collapse, the drama never stops. They'll dress like Norse warriors, chant like it's a war cry, and still leave the stadium shaking their heads. Vikings fans are eternally optimistic, but their hope always comes with a tragic twist. Rival fans mock them, but deep down, everyone respects their persistence. No ring yet, but the second they get one, prepare for purple noise that won't shut up for decades. Chicago Bears. Loyal but delusional QB hunters. Bears fans are some of the most loyal in football and some of the most tortured. They worship the 85 defense like it's scripture, grill brats in sub-zero weather, and show up to Soldier Field no matter how bleak the season looks. But when it comes to quarterbacks, pure delusion. Every new guy is finally the one, until he isn't. From Rex Grossman to Mitch Trubisky, the heartbreak is endless. What keeps them going is tradition, rivalries, Ditka sweaters, and hating the Packers with generational passion. Bears fandom is faith, pain, and stubborn loyalty, always believing the next QB will be the savior, even though history says otherwise. Detroit Lions, redeemed and authentic. For decades, being a Lions fan meant nothing but pain. Thanksgiving blowouts, winless seasons, legends like Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson walking away early. It was football purgatory. Yet somehow, the fans never left. They froze in the stands, roared through losing streaks, and carried the weight of maybe next year for generations. Now, with Dan Campbell biting kneecaps and a roster that actually fights, Detroit feels alive again. There's no bandwagon here, only scars, pride, and blue-collar loyalty. Lions fans aren't just celebrating wins, they're celebrating survival. And finally, after years as the league's punchline, they've earned the right to roar back. New Orleans Saints, rowdy religion. Saints fandom is equal parts Sunday service and Bourbon Street parade. The Superdome. It's a cathedral where "Who Dat" is both a chant and a prayer. Fans show up in gold beads, fleur-de-lis face paint, and enough energy to turn a game into Mardi Gras with a scoreboard. They survived the paper bag Aints years, then rose to glory with Drew Brees, forever tying football to faith and redemption in New Orleans. Now, even in shaky seasons, they scream like every snap is sacred. Saints fans don't just cheer, they worship, they celebrate, and they turn football into a festival of noise and belief. Atlanta Falcons, haunted by 28-3. Falcons fans don't just carry baggage, they carry a ghost. 28-3 isn't a score, it's a curse carved into NFL history. No matter what happens, it follows them. Memes, rival chants, even casual conversations about choking. Every small success gets shadowed by that collapse in Houston. They'll cheer rookie highlights, ride a hot streak, and start to believe. But deep down, they're waiting for the disaster. It's a mix of loyalty and dread, a fan base stuck in football purgatory. Still, they show up, they scream, and they hold out hope. But the truth is, until the Falcons win it all, 28-3 will always be louder than the scoreboard. Carolina Panthers, forgettable. Panthers fans don't get mocked, they get ignored. The youngest team in the NFC South, their history swings from Cam Newton's Superman highs to endless quarterback roulette. They've tasted dominance, but mostly they live in the middle of the pack, fading into the background of NFL conversations. Even their own fans sometimes forget whether the team technically belongs to North or South Carolina. Bank of America Stadium, great view of the skyline, but often half empty by the fourth quarter. Panthers fandom isn't toxic, loud, or cursed, it's just there, always waiting for a reason to matter again. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, conflicted. The Bucs are still figuring out who they are without Brady. One minute they're division champs. The next, they're inventing new ways to lose to teams they should dominate. The fan base lives in this weird limbo, proud of that Lombardi in 2020, but terrified it was just a temporary glow-up. Some cling to the pirate ship, the creamsicle throwbacks, and the underdog charm. Others still expect championship swagger, even though the roster screams, rebuild. Deep down, Bucs fans know the floor could collapse any season, but until then, they're enjoying the view from the deck, drinks in hand, waiting to see if the ship sails or sinks. San Francisco 49ers, obsessed and petty. Niners fans treat football like religion and grudges like family heirlooms. They'll bring up Joe Montana and Jerry Rice before you even finish your sentence, and they still talk about the catch like it happened last week. Online, they're relentless. Every QB debate turns into a holy war about Purdy, Jimmy G, or Trey Lance. Losing a Super Bowl? To them, it was stolen. Winning a playoff game? Proof they're the rightful kings of the NFC. The obsession is unmatched, and the pettiness? Even stronger. 49ers fandom isn't just about love for the team. It's about reminding you loudly and often that their history is better than yours. Seattle Seahawks. Energized but out-screamed. Seahawks fans built their entire identity on noise. The 12th man flag, the earthquake celebrations, the Legion of Boom era. Volume was their weapon. Lumen Field is still loud, but here's the twist. Chiefs fans stole the decibel record years ago. Do they care? Not really. They'll still swear Seattle is the loudest place on earth. Post Russell Wilson, they were supposed to collapse, but instead they doubled down on grit, coffee, and Geno Smith redemption arcs. Seahawks fans are passionate, creative, and always screaming, even if someone else officially screams louder. Arizona Cardinals, neglected and invisible. Cardinals fans don't even get the respect of being called underrated. They're just forgotten. Highlight reels mention the other team, and Arizona barely gets a shout-out. They've had flashes, Larry Fitzgerald's legendary playoff run, the Hail Murray, but nothing sticks. Every season starts hot, every season collapses like a lawn chair in the desert sun. The fan base is loyal but quiet, constantly overlooked in their own stadium and on national broadcasts. Cardinals fandom isn't about hype or hate, it's about invisibility. And maybe that's worse. Los Angeles, Rams, synthetic. Rams fans look more like a casting call than a fan base. They moved back to LA, won a Super Bowl, and still can't fill SoFi without the place turning into a visiting team's pep rally. The fan culture feels manufactured. Flashy uniforms, celebrity sightings, and hashtags instead of tradition. They went all in with the F Them Picks super team and cashed it in, but even then, the city barely noticed. Rams fandom is glitzy on the outside but hollow underneath. It's not decades of loyalty, it's a luxury brand with a Lombardi trophy in the display window.